ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Wednesday, November 19th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is open 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Coming up today on the program, we're going to have a chance to catch up with Ryan Crisp. He's the Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement at Marshall University. Looking forward to catching up with him. There's a lot going on, a lot of charitable initiatives going on with the Thundering Herd. Of course, we've got soccer, basketball, football. You kind of need to know some of the details, tickets, all of that. So Ryan's going to join us in the next few minutes, so I'm looking forward to catching up with him and finding out more about some of these initiatives. And then, are there any soccer tickets just hanging out there left? Is there anything going on that maybe you can do to get yourself a soccer ticket? We'll find out, but that is coming up. Of course, we got a busy day tomorrow. So we're going to be over at the Henderson Center tomorrow for the basketball game, and we go on the air really early. It's going to be a 3 o'clock airtime for us. Tip-off is set for 4 o'clock. The Herd in action against Arkansas Pine Bluff. And last night, I watched a little bit of that game, and I do mean just a little bit of it, because I couldn't watch it straight through. It was a 106-60 beating at SMU. Right now, Arkansas Pine Bluff is sitting at 0-6. Now, this team is on the road for, I think, the entirety of the non-conference schedule. I know they got 11 straight, I think, on the road. This is game number 6, and so they got to turn right around and play tomorrow. And right now, they are giving up, on average, 96 points a game. And they're only averaging 66.7. So they're not really putting much offense up. Now, what's funny is in the first half, they've been outscored all season 254 to 166. Second half, they've put a little bit more on the board, but at the same time, they've given up a lot more. They're being outscored in the second half 322 to 234. The rebound margin, they're in the negatives at negative 11.2. They're averaging 32.7 a contest, but they're giving up over 43. They're turning it over 15 and a half times a game. On average, 15 and a half. And the turnover margin for them is almost 4.5 to 4.3. So they're in the negative column there. They're only forcing over 11 turnovers a game. Steals per game, a little different story, actually. They're not that bad. 7 steals a game compared to 9.3 for the opponent. We could go over all of these numbers. The free throw line, they're shooting a solid 77% there. They are shooting 42 of 150 from the three-point line. That is 28%. So they're averaging 7 made three-point buckets a game, and they're giving up over 11. What's this going to look like for the Thundering Herd? Now, look at some of their opponents, though. And now, let's be fair about this. And Coach Jackson talked about this, and we'll hear him in just a few minutes. But the opponents here at Washington, at Portland, at LMU, so they're on the West Coast, at Oklahoma, at Vanderbilt, at SMU, then coming into Huntington to take on Marshall. At SMU, then coming to Huntington. What an insane schedule that Arkansas Pine Bluff has. So I don't look at this as an 0-6 team. I look at this as a road-weary team that's going on the road to make money for its athletic department. And that's what I see right here. That's just insane, crazy schedule. I mean, the West Coast trip was on the 3rd, 6th, and 8th. And then at Oklahoma on the 11th, a little bit more of a gap between that and the Vanderbilt matchup on the 15th. And then the SMU matchup was yesterday on the 18th, so they turn right around 48 hours later. Let's play some basketball. And then the game got moved up. It's going to be a 4 o'clock tip to accommodate soccer. So we'll get Coach Jackson's thoughts on the game later on. And we're going to hear from you as well with 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 being the text line. And then we've got basketball to get into on the women's side. Julie Folks and her squad. Now, first of all, good marks on the last two matchups with Indiana and Kentucky. Good marks. Played well, competitive, maybe not the score you wanted, but at the same time, still, you showed up, you played, you didn't quit, you played hard, you were a difficult opponent for Kentucky, and you got to feel good about where you're at. Now, yesterday at the Henderson Center, the Herd's back, and it's taken on what I thought would be, I want to say that it would be a route like this, but you got a D2 Independent in Salem coming in. And so Marshall unloads 105-31 over Salem. Outscored them 22-9 in the first, 33-6 in the second, 24-8 in the third, and then 26-8 in the fourth. It was insane. So Marshall improves to 3-2. 7 players in double figures. The largest point margin since you got to go all the way back, and we appreciate Marshall's sports information department for doing the research here. 74-point margin of victory. It's the largest since the 2016-17 season. And 105 points scored is a new season high. And also the Herd, according to the research, 39, season high, 39 turnovers. Marshall just was able to do what it wanted against Salem. Give Salem credit. You came into Huntington, and they didn't just roll over. I'll give them that. It was a hard-fought victory for Marshall just because you had to stay focused, right? I think that's the big takeaway here is, yeah, you're doing whatever you want here, but you had to stay focused. You couldn't just relax because Coach Folks isn't going to let you do that. So you had to stay on point the entire time. So in that sense, hard fought, because if Marshall would have not put its best foot forward as it was continuing to build on that lead, I'm sure Julie Folks would not have been happy even with the win. So good job by the Thundering Herd getting it done. We've got more to get into. As I mentioned, we've got soccer coming up tomorrow. We've got basketball. We've got a lot of initiatives happening at Marshall University, and to help us talk about it when we continue will be Ryan Crisp, the Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement. He joins us on the other side of the break on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Poca Valley Bank locations today. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Cold weather's on its way, and what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests, they sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Hey Tri-State, Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue on with this Wednesday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're getting into that point of the season where we have got a lot of crossover. And there are a lot of things happening as well, some new initiatives, some old initiatives coming back that the Thundering Herd is about ready to launch when it comes to the holiday seasons. There's so much going on, so the only man that we know that can try to keep it all in order for us is with us on the phone. He is our friend Ryan Crisp, the Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement at Marshall University. You know, I'd love to see what your day planner looks like one day. It's not even digital. I don't think you have enough hard drive space for that. It's probably this really big, thick book that you just constantly are writing in.
And then you write in it, but then can't read it 10 minutes later. You're like, what's that again? You know, that's what it looks like.
Absolutely. It's analog offline, and it's 50 pages thick, and that's just this week.
That's right. No, it's fun though. So yeah, no, it's awesome.
Hey, you've got a lot of things happening that are exciting. I think we should start with soccer. The number one question: are there tickets available, Ryan? That's what people want to know. I had people text me a few days ago after the sellout was announced, just moments after the tickets went on sale, that how could it be sold out? And I don't know if I get a piece of the action here, but I've already made the pitch for 2026 season tickets for you.
Yeah, no, that's tremendous. And there are still tickets available for tomorrow's game against Cleveland State, the first round of the NCAA tournament. The Sun Belt Championship game did go in 9 minutes, which was incredible. We took a little office poll on when it would go, and I was actually wrong. I didn't think it would go that quick, but it was awesome. It was great to see. It's why our soccer program is so special. This one is not going as quick, I think, just because, it's not for a championship, and Sunday's weather was pretty darn good. It was perfect. It was sunny. And so they're still selling well, and I think we will get to a sellout by the time we open up the gates tomorrow. But there are still tickets available. You can hop on herdzone.com. There's still some reserve seating left, and then obviously the standing room. And so still lots of options for you. And, obviously it's one of those things that I don't want to say we expect it, but it's one of those things that it's happened so many years in a row now that we're hosting NCAA tournament games that, it's awesome. And our fans get to experience that, and our student athletes get to experience that, which is something that a lot of, Division I student athletes or fan bases never get to experience, is hosting one of these games. So very cool deal, very awesome for us as an athletic department. For us, we've had a couple calls with, every school that is associated with the postseason. And so not only do you get to use the NCAA, what they have from PA reads and video board materials and all that kind of stuff, and that helps us learn a little bit, but we're also connecting with people across the country and learning what they do from an in-game standpoint and what works. And I can tell you a lot of people are asking us about our experience because I think it's well known in the soccer community that our game day atmosphere from our fan base is one of the best out there. And from a revenue standpoint, we're also one of the best. So, and then as you mentioned, soccer season tickets, that is the only way and the best way to guarantee yourself postseason play. We sold out in 9 minutes, but what happened before that point is that season ticket holders were able to claim their tickets and reserve their tickets. And so that is the best way and the only way to guarantee yourself postseason play. And for that moment in those kind of situations is when it truly pays off to be a season ticket holder.
Basketball is going to be a 4 o'clock tip. And then that's hopefully going to give a lot of fans plenty of time to go to the Cam Henderson Center, watch Coach Jackson's game, his squad looking pretty good. Second half of Virginia, you got to really feel good about how the Herd responded against probably one of the best teams in the country. And then you have hopefully enough time to get down to the pitch, watch the soccer match. Anything special since it's going to be an afternoon game, a mid-evening game? What's kind of going to be the game plan for tomorrow?
Yeah, obviously lots of things. And first, let's touch on the game time change. We did have to change the basketball game to 4 p.m. There's a few different reasons for that. One is obviously just so our fans could take in both games. I did a little research, and 73% of our ticket buyers for soccer are also basketball season ticket holders. And so we wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to take in both games. Two, we are unable to broadcast 2 games at the same time. We can only send one feed to ESPN. And both games have to be broadcasted by Sunbelt rules, and obviously the NCAA tournament requires it to be broadcasted. So we have to broadcast both games, and we were unable to do that. We can only send one feed at a time. And then just naturally from a staffing standpoint, from a group of 5 level where we're at, we need everybody all hands on deck for every game day. And so playing 2 games at once would really diminish the experience while you're at the game, not only from a security and entry and concessions, but then also from every element that maybe you don't know happens behind the scenes, from the video board to the music to the on-court promotions to the PA announcers to the people that are statting the game and, all that kind of stuff. So we did have to move it to 4 p.m. So obviously not great in terms of playing a game at 4 p.m. on a weekday. But what we did do where any kids 12 and under are free at tomorrow's game. So if you got youngsters and they get out of school at that 3 o'clock range or whatever, maybe get them a little snack or come straight to the arena and get something from a concession stand. And 12 and under is free for the basketball game, which is obviously, a tremendous deal for them, and hope they can come out and enjoy a game. And I'll also say as a parent of young children myself, playing at 4 does make it a little better on the back end, right? When it's a 7 p.m. game on a weeknight, that's hard to bring your kids out to. And so hopefully this will allow some of those families to come out to the game that maybe normally wouldn't be able to on a weeknight. And then the transition, hopefully we're able to transition, right, as a fan base from basketball. The average basketball game is about 2 hours and 5 minutes. So it should be plenty of time to get down to the vet for the soccer game. And we will do the same from a staff standpoint. Unfortunately, no double dip on ticket deals or anything like that because the NCAA match from soccer is an NCAA event. So we're just not able to do any promos that cross-promote the two between ticketing. But overall, still a big day for Marshall Athletics tomorrow.
On a personal note, I actually like the idea of having a 4 o'clock game. I know you can't do it every time. You got to take the market metrics into account for when you play your basketball games. But I do like this opportunity. You've got a game 4 o'clock. Everybody can be accommodated. You can get down to the Henderson Center. Probably right after work, or you're picking up your kids, like you mentioned. Great deal. Transition down to soccer. I think it'll be fun tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. But basketball, definitely exciting. Coach Jackson coming in. Good second half performance at Virginia, so I feel good about where this team is at right now. As far as any special promotions outside of the kids coming in? Are we going to see anything tomorrow for the basketball game? Are you going to do any maybe concession deals, anything like that, or is there anything maybe that's to kind of entice fans to maybe come on after? If you're running, hey, give them a reason to come. Is there something that maybe you can touch on?
Yeah, no, from a concession standpoint, they have the weekday meal deal, which is always a good one. It's a hot dog, pretzel, and a drink for $10, and I think that's always a good one to take advantage of. And that does run for all weekday games, regardless of the game time. And so that's always a good one to take advantage of the concession stand. And then just from an in-game standpoint, at halftime, we'll do the kids' dunk contest like we do for a lot of our games. But once again, we actually had a different halftime performance schedule, but we moved some things around with our focus and hope that we'll have a little bit of a younger audience there, and so we want to make sure they have a good time at the game.
Okay, and that's pretty cool, though. The weekday meal deal, that sounds like the winner right there. So an opportunity for everyone to maybe take your kids, go see basketball. If you're coming off of work, you're picking up your kid, take them to the basketball. If you're going to soccer, you got plenty of time as well. And, of course, football is on the road, but we're gearing up for the final home game. That is coming up after the Herd goes down to Boone, North Carolina, and beats Appalachian State. Two opportunities for bowl eligibility, and of course, 6-6, 7-5. That's what we're hoping for. That'll get it done, and the Herd will be once again eligible for a bowl. What do Herd fans need to know now if they want to start planning for maybe a bowl bid coming up here in the next few weeks? Of course, I know season ticket holders, and again, that's the key. They're always going to be the first ones in line. But what can other people do at this point if they want to maybe start to jump on board that?
Yeah, it's always fun this time of year when we get close to bowl eligibility. Myself and Matt Lewis actually sat down today and built the bowl website with all the different options we have in a bowl interest form that fans will be able to fill out. And so as soon as we win this weekend, we'll launch that live on herdzone.com and through our social media channels, where you can check out all of our direct bowl tie-ins through the Sun Belt Conference, and also fill out a little interest form where you'll get emails directed towards you based on the bowl game and what's happening and the timeline in terms of when tickets will be available and all that good stuff. So love this time of year. The one thing I have learned from working in this business is I never get too excited about, whatever the projections say or thinking about which bowl game we're going to, because guess what? It always changes. And so, it's one of those things where you just sit back and kind of wait, and, you can always look at flights and be like, if we go to this bowl game, what am I looking at? Where can I stay? What's the flight look like? And have it all mapped out. So as soon as it gets announced, you're ready to go. But it is a fun time of year where you can look at all the different bowl games and look at the options. And like I said, as soon as we win this weekend, we'll launch our Bowl Central website that has all of our bowl tie-ins with the direct bowl website, the days of the game, the times of the game, so that way you can start planning out your trips. And then once we get it narrowed down, execute on whichever one we're going to.
Probably a pro tip if people aren't yet members of the Big Green, you always send that stuff out first through the Big Green, right?
We do. Big Green season ticket holders, they're always the first to know everything that we do. So it is the best way to stay up to date and get ahead of some of this stuff before everyone else does.
Ryan Crisp is with us, the Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement. So if you're not a member of the Big Green just yet and you want to start to get on board, that's the best way. Get started there. You'll find out about all these things that are happening, ticket deals, when Marshall might play, where Marshall might. You get all of that information. But, of course, it's not just athletics. There's a lot of things going on as well as far as non-sporting events. These are more community-driven. And there's a couple of things that are coming up. I think probably my favorite is the toy drive every year, because that's an opportunity to help out needy children in our area. And Ryan, I'll let you tell me a little bit more about what the Herd's doing this year. And it's always great to see how many toys that you can just rack up to help out.
Yeah, no, it's a great little initiative. And I'll tell you what, Emily Suter with the Big Green has done a great job with our junior captain program this year. We always recognize them the first time out. And so herself and Sarah Schitzbrolt from the Hoops Family Children's Hospital came with this idea of the toy drive and including Marshall Athletics. And And so they came to us and said, hey, we want to do this toy drive. I said, great. But how can we do it? What can we do to help? And they said, let's have this as a drop-off point, and let's make a drop-off point for the final home game. And I said, cool, that's awesome. And so I shared it with our staff, and then Coach Gibson calls me a few minutes later, and he goes, hey, what if we covered the ticket? What if I covered the ticket for anyone that donates a toy? I said, Coach, that's a great idea. And so we molded it into what it is now, where fans can drop off a new toy to the Marshall ticket office beginning immediately, or the day of the football game against Georgia Southern on the 29th at the M Club Pavilion. You can drop off a toy, and if you drop off a toy, you will get a ticket to the game for absolutely free to you. And Coach Gibson's going to cover that ticket for you. So a good little promo, a great addition by Coach Gibson there to be able to allow us to do this. And we're obviously excited anytime we can help, Hoops Family Children's Hospital succeed in their mission and help them. We're able to do that. We're excited to do that. And so a great little platform to us to promote their toy drive-through and be a small part in what they're doing throughout the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, you get a ticket to go see the Herd take on Georgia Southern, one of Marshall's, in my mind, going back a ways, biggest rivals, that Appalachian State. So it's always fun to see those two teams on the football field. But I always appreciate any type of toy drive. And I know there are other initiatives as well, but that one is really cool. And, of course, then on the flip side, there's a lot of needy people. Hunger is always something that we're trying to combat. And the Herd, once again, I don't think there's just one Canton drive. I always see multiple events. So what's the most recent thing that the Herd's trying to do to kind of maybe alleviate some of the problems with these food drives?
Yeah, once again, we're just excited to be able to use our platform to help people and to be able to promote it as much as possible, and then to provide something in return for someone that's willing to help. And so this Sunday is a doubleheader basketball game. The women play at 4 p.m., the men play at 7 p.m. And for that basketball game, fans are able to bring in one non-perishable food item, and in exchange for that, you will get a free admission into the game, which is, once again, another great incentive for the person, the fan that's coming to the game. Bring a non-perishable food item, drop it off at the ticket office. The Facing Hunger Food Bank is going to be there in person with bins collecting all the food. And once again, we're just excited to be able to do that for our local community. But then also, like I said, provide something for the fans and hopefully they have a fun experience at the game. And go out and buy some food from the grocery store and bring it, and you'll get in for free and you'll help someone out in return. So we have done food drives before. Sometimes our student athletes through our SAC program will launch these as well. But this one was between us and the Facing Hunger Food Bank of Huntington. All the food donated will go to local areas that are in need, and in a time of year where that's maybe a little more of a focal point for everyone. So we're excited to be able to host this and bring fans to our games while also helping local people in need.
And that's what I wanted to stress as well. This isn't just a one-off for Marshall Athletics. This is ongoing. So there's always an opportunity for the Herd to give back. And that's been a strong push from this athletic department to be involved in the community. And it's always refreshing to see that it's about more than just athletics. How many events do you think, off the top of your head, have you charted this year alone where Marshall Athletics has just gotten on board with something that kind of helped the community?
Yeah, there are so many, Paul. I know our fans see a lot on social media from when our teams will post about being here or being there and doing this or doing that. But that's probably 30% of what's actually going on behind the scenes. Our athletes are everywhere in this community, helping as much as possible, helping nonprofits, helping whatever it may be, volunteering at certain events, going to churches, trunk or treats, anything you can think of, they have been a part of and they have helped, which is tremendous to see. I don't know the exact number of hours that have been charted for community service, but I can tell you it is a lot. And I can also tell you that is a big focal point for Athletic Director Gerald Harrison. From day one, he's preached that in community involvement and tracking those hours and making sure that our student athletes, staff, coaches, everyone is out in the community and well-known and helping at these events as much as possible. So definitely something we've already done a lot of, but look for more in the future. as we continue to grow that program and get our community service hours to an all-time high.
Ryan Crisp is with us, Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement. He will be selling you tickets to all the events tomorrow. What's the absolute last moment anyone can pick up a ticket for soccer or basketball? Just to make this an easy transition, if you're thinking about one or the other, you're still on the fence, what's the cutoff for both those?
Yeah, I would say soccer, do it now, right? Like, we just never know when that sellout's going to come, and so do it as soon as possible. Basketball, we'll have tickets up until game time, so come to the Henderson Center. You can walk up or head online to herdzone.com and get your tickets. Reminder, basketball game 4 o'clock tomorrow, and men's soccer 7:15.
Ryan Crisp going to be very busy these next few weeks, including hopefully a victory tomorrow on the court and then on the pitch. And then after that, the Herd will travel to the next round. I know I can look ahead. You can't. I can look ahead. But what will, for Herd fans who are maybe not used to this, for having to go on the road, what's the ticket situation usually like when a Marshall soccer team has to travel in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, for anything that's a road game with soccer, especially NCAA tournaments, you will want to work through the host institution and buy directly through them. We will not get tickets to sell or anything like that, and so you'll always want to work with the host institution and buy directly through them for that game.
All right, there you have it. Ryan Crisp with us, the Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement at Marshall University. Ryan, I'll see you tomorrow somewhere between Marshall basketball and soccer, and hopefully it's going to be a fun time for everybody, and we get a big crowd for both events.
For sure. I appreciate the time, Paul. Go Herd.
There you have it. Ryan Crisp, everyone, does a lot in the community as well, so find out more by heading over to herdzone.com. We really do appreciate Ryan spending a few minutes with us once a week. When we continue, we'll get your text 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
Hey, Tri-State. Frank's Place is where friends hang out with friends. Stop on by for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. and a lot of daily specials. It's that time of year, football season. Frank's has you covered from Marshall, WVU, the rest of college football to the NFL. First responders, stop by Frank's Place and check out the specials they have for you. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's.
This fall, let the Car Ferry bring a little magic to your driveway at Mark Porter Auto Group. With locations in Pomeroy and Jackson, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky, they make it easy to get into a safe, reliable vehicle. Every used car goes through a 117-point inspection, fall into a safe, reliable vehicle, and let the Car Ferry guide you to Mark Porter Auto Group in Pomeroy, Jackson, and Ashland, or shop 24/7 at markporterautogroup.com.
Christmas is coming, and it's time for the Guardians Live. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. The Guardians Live, December 5th, 7 p.m. at Fellowship Baptist Church, Barbersville. Tickets are $15, and buying them in advance, you'll get a free Guardians CD with early purchase. Visit fellowshipbarbersville.com and get yours today. Don't miss the Guardians Christmas Live, Friday night, December 5th, 7 p.m. at Fellowship Baptist Church, just off the mall exit of I-64.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We continue on with this Wednesday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line is open 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Marshall basketball tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and 93.7 The Dog as the Herd playing host to Arkansas Pine Bluff. SMU had its way with Arkansas Pine Bluff yesterday, 106-60. I'm sure the Thundering Herd is hoping for a similar result. Marshall's bouncing back from a 104-78 loss at Virginia, a game in which the Herd did outperform Virginia in that second half. Now you come into a situation where you have a team that is 0-6, and yesterday 0-5. Before this game, Coach Jackson, when talking about this team, has been telling his squad, hey, look, that record, don't even look at it. It doesn't matter. We're not focused anything on that record. We're looking at this team.
Don't look at Arkansas Pine Bluff's record. You know, they play 11 straight road games. They played 5 games so far. They play SMU tonight. Out of the 5 games they played, 4 of those games been high major teams. So they've been in the game. They have talent. They have their 2 top players. One transferred from Oklahoma State, played there 2 years. And then their big man who's averaging 17 and 7, he played at Mississippi State. So I'm sure they'll come in here ready to go. But, you know, our main thing is, you know, we have to be focused and we can't look at their record. We have to be ready to play at a high level.
And also, you had to adjust to the time change. That was a question that was asked of Coach yesterday when we caught up with him. You know, you're changing the tip time for this game from 7 to 4 o'clock. You know, is there any adjustments? Does that throw you off a little bit as you get ready for this one? And Coach did say it does have an impact.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. You know, it's kind of one of those things where you pivot, you know. Thanks to Coach Grassi, they're really good, and they're hosting a tournament game here. So it's just a pivot moment for us. You know, hopefully we still have people show up. I know, you know, it's a lot of people still going to be at work. Hopefully we get some butts in the seat and some people loud because we'll need them.
hopefully everyone can go to the game tomorrow and then make their way to the pitch to see the Herd take on Cleveland State. But if you can't do both, but you can do basketball. If you weren't with us a few minutes ago, Ryan Crisp joined us, the Associate Athletics Director of Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement. If you've got a child 12 or under, you're coming to the game, maybe you're picking your kid up, and then you're heading down to the Henderson Center directly, kid gets in free, 12 and under. They'll also do the dunk thing. I don't even know what the kid dunk. I guess that's what we're calling it at halftime. So they change things up just a little bit. So it should be fun if you've got children and you got to make a quick pit stop to pick them up. Then you got to head down to the Henderson Center to watch the game. Kids get in free, 12 and under. So it should be a fun time tomorrow. One more from Coach Jackson before we hit the break. Going back to Virginia, as I alluded to, that second half, the Herd played well. We saw better basketball from Marshall. Maybe the Herd adjusted a little bit better. We saw that the Thundering Herd could show it could keep up with Virginia. Actually won that second half on the scoreboard. Going back after the game ended, looking at the film either on the bus, the plane, I don't know how the Herd traveled, honestly. Looking at the film, however, what did Coach Jackson maybe learn after the game that he maybe didn't see while he was watching it? So his breakdown of maybe something he picked up on, he learned after watching the film.
We learned a lot. We took several things from that game. One being the weight room. Thought they were really strong. They were in shape. So again, we have to elevate what we do, conditioning wise, what we do strength wise. Because here's the deal: when you get winded, when you get tired, your mind goes first. So I thought that was the biggest difference. We didn't capitalize. We had our opportunities. Second half, that we won the second half by 2, but the second half they went 7+ minutes without scoring. So we fouled a bunch. We put them on the line. They shot 36 free throws. But I just thought that we have to capitalize on opportunities, especially when you're on the road playing a really good team. When they make a mistake, you have to make them pay. And they made several mistakes, and we just didn't capitalize on it.
Coach Jackson, he'll be on the sidelines at the game tomorrow, coaching the Herd against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Your text coming up, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Transform your outdoors all year long with Roberts Lawn Care and Landscaping. Family owned and operated, serving the tri-state area with expert landscaping services. From vibrant spring gardens to cozy fall patios and everything in between. Roberts specializes in sustainable landscaping that thrives through every season, residential or commercial. Roberts creates personalized solutions to bring your vision to life. Call Roberts today at 304-633-5822 because your dream yard deserves 4 seasons of care.
It's the biggest savings event of the year. Menards, 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day. Save big money on everything you need for any project. We've got something for everyone. Homeowners, contractors, DIYers, the kids, and even grandma. Hurry, Menards 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day.
Save big money at Menards.
11% mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check. Good on future in-store purchases. See menards.com for details.
Our Kendrick Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Tri-State Power Sports, your CF Moto dealer. Visit their location behind KFC in Cannonsburg, Kentucky. Pollock's Jewelers, professional service with a personal touch. 913 Winchester Avenue in Ashland. Phone 606-324-3197. Car Stuff, time to upgrade your ride. Remote starters, window tint, stereo installs, and more. Visit Car Stuff, 3450 US Route 60 in Huntington.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at MDA.org today.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with this Wednesday edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's go to the text line. I kind of laughed on this one. I appreciate the sentiment there. Texture says, Paul, why is Legacy Box not a sponsor for your show? History and tradition of success. Marshall absolutely has. Herd greenhorns, including our players, need to hear your message. We are special. We are Marshall. If anyone wants to spend money on this program, you email me, Paul Swann, at ESPN941.com. You email me. I will put you on this program. The check clears. You're on this program as a sponsor. I'll make that happen for you. Appreciate the text. I am serious, though. You want to advertise on this program? Let me know. We'll make it happen for you. All right, get your text in. Again, that number one more time, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We haven't forgotten football. Football, of course, getting set for App State. Final regular season road contest for the Thundering Herd before it comes back home to face off against Georgia State. We talked yesterday about what that atmosphere is going to be like for the Thundering Herd, what this team does well. There are some things, though, that the Thundering Herd really needs to work on. And one of those things is getting the ball to Toby Payne. Absolutely needs to happen more. Coach hears about it every week. He's told about it on his radio show. You can ask the Herd voice himself, Steve Cotton. What's he get on social media every week when questions are submitted? Hey, why aren't you getting the ball to Toby Payne? Coach addressed that.
Yeah, Toby is he's a great football player, and every week Steve can attest to this. On the radio show I get asked, we need to get Toby the ball more. I agree. Let's and Coach Smith agrees as well. So, we have to keep finding ways to get him the ball. He made some huge plays in that game. Coming off our goal line on the little Y pop was a huge play. The touchdown before the half. So, he's a guy that we count on. He's a guy that's going to make a play and not flinch when it's when the game's on the line, whatever it may be. And he's one of our guys that we try to target and do things. And other people know that as well. They get paid to coach, and they have good players, and they do some things to take Toby away at times. So, but we try to design a lot of different stuff for him.
Hopefully the Thundering Herd will be able to get him open in these upcoming games. Now, Coach also talked a little bit more about the past game performance Carlos had. Let's be honest. I think this team could have used Carlos a few games sooner, but now that the quarterback situation took care of itself, we've really seen what kind of game that he's been able to bring to the Thundering Herd. And, of course, you can't have a press conference without talking about the passing game and, of course, the reason why it's been so successful, and that's Carlos.
Yeah, I thought that he made some really good throws. I mean, the throw on our sideline that he stuck in there, I mean, it was a whole shot. They were in a cover 2 shell, and he put it in a perfect spot, and Dede made a heck of a catch. So, yeah, but he threw the ball extremely well, kept it out of harm's way. And, I thought he was dialed in. Obviously, having account for 418 yards on Saturday was huge for him. But his confidence, again, is, it's at a high level right now. And guys are making plays. We're making some good catches, good run after catch. Breaking some tackles. And again, too, I think our running backs are doing a good job catching the ball out of the backfield, and running hard. But again, anytime you can do that and they lighten the box up to take away throws, then obviously it opens our run game up for Carlos and our backs.
Yeah, and you got to take advantage of it. And the one thing, though, I'd like to see the Herd dial in a little bit better, and Coach Gibson would as well, is there have been some really good plays on defense where that unit as a whole has stepped up and done some really big things. Kept Marshall in some games, but now and then there's just that explosive play bug, and Marshall gets bit by it. And Coach talked a little bit more about just the overall how the defense is doing and still needing to clean up some of those explosive plays.
Yeah, we are. And, it seems like every game, we'll relax or something happens or we miss a tackle, we miss a pill in the bat, whatever it may be, and get hit for a big one, but then our guys, turn around and make a great play. So it's all year one stuff. You guys getting used to the calls, guys getting used to the systems. And again, our kids fight and they play hard, and that's what we're trying to drive home right now. Continue to play hard. It's going to cover up a bunch of mistakes.
That is head coach Tony Gibson. We'll hear more from him tomorrow. We've got basketball to get you set for. We're going to go on the air with our pregame coverage at 3 o'clock from the Cam Henderson Center. We'll tip off at 4 o'clock. If you can't make the game, we got you covered here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 and on 93.7 The Dog. And, of course, if you can make the game, take advantage of 12 and under for kids getting in free. So take advantage of that promotion tomorrow, as a lot of parents are probably going to be picking up their kids and then trying to decide, hey, what do we do? Head on down to the Henderson Center. I want to thank our guest today, Ryan Crisp, the Associate Athletics Director, Ticket Sales and Fan Engagement at Marshall University. Always a pleasure to speak with him. A lot of good work's happening for the Thundering Herd, not just on the football field or the basketball court or the pitch, but a lot of community initiatives going on. So happy to hear about all of that. And, of course, that toy drive. Find out more. Head over to herdzone.com. They've got several things that are going on. You can score a ticket to the game next week against Georgia Southern. So that's always a great game to go to. Back tomorrow, 3 o'clock for basketball here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.